Hey YouTube, thank you so much for checking back on my channel. This is Graciel of Graziel Arts, and I have this major excitement and this major enthusiasm for this project that I'm doing right now, and it is the Star Wars speeder bike that came out in Return of the Jedi. And the reason that I'm so excited about it is because this is just a toy that came out, I think, with Rogue One. And I was excited about it because this is a 12-inch figure. It's 12 inches and it comes with a speeder bike. So the speeder bike is about, man, I'm going to say maybe 18 inches long. 18 inches long. And the reason that I was excited about it is because Hasbro, this company right here, Hasbro, has been making these really giant toys that they didn't really make before. I remember when I was younger, a Kenner made a speeder bike that was this big, but it cost about $80. So it was super expensive, but this one's only about $20. Now, as you can tell, it's not movie accurate. So it's just regular plastic. It's unpainted. And what a lot of people have been doing, myself included, is that we've been taking these and using them as models, not as toys. And I just got mine yesterday. And I was really excited to start working on it. And believe it or not, I am almost finished. The speeder bike is pretty much complete. And I have it right here. Right here. This is the bottom of it. It's upside down. But as you can see, it is fully painted. It's fully painted. And I was just so excited to get it that I got it yesterday and I started painting it. And it came out incredibly good. Look at that. I mean, compare that to the original. And all of this was done with really accessible paints. My favorite part about this whole project was right here, because I got the accuracy of the of all the scratches and all the little metal parts. It actually looks burnt. You know, you can see how the metal is reflecting from all the nicks and crannies. And I really like this spot right here where it looks like the paint was scratched off and you could see the steel or the metal underneath. And the same goes for this area here. This was my favorite area on the handlebars, because it came out looking really authentic. And not a single piece of detail was left out. And I was just really amazed with how it came out, and I was just super excited to do it. And this afternoon, I put the finishing touches with an airbrush, and that's how I got the black burnt areas here, and back here on these see. And it just came out really nice. Here on the back. Now, I'm not completely finished with it. As you can tell, There's some areas here, like on the knapsack, that hasn't been finished yet. But what a lot of guys do is they take this off and they put an actual cloth back here, and they roll it up, and it makes it look more authentic. But I really like the mold here on this plastic piece, so I left it on there. I just painted it different, so it's not like a shiny plastic right here. It's more like a cloth material, and I'm just gonna put the finishing touches on it. So this is one side of the Return of the Jedi speeder bike, and I'm gonna turn it around and show you the other side right here. This is the other side, and I really like how the burnt or the black paint really makes it look like it's burnt or it's been used, and it gave the entire speeder bike that authentic Return of the Jedi used beat up kind of look. And I actually thought that it was going to be difficult to do, but as I started working on it, it came out. Just one thing started to flow after another, and if you're an artist, or if you're a creator, if you make stuff, that doesn't always happen. You always make corrections, you always make mistakes, and you have to go back and correct those mistakes, and it's very rare where you work on a project and things just flow so smoothly, and that's pretty much what happened here. And like you can see on this area right here, I painted this plastic part right here, and I added this marker on here, and it actually looks like the paint rubbed off, and there's metal underneath. And I'm just really surprised at how authentic that looks. And also there's also the burned area. This is the back of the speeder bike, and here's the underbelly of it. It just came out looking really nice. And it was, I think in total, it took me about 12 hours of painting and detailing to go ahead and get all the scratches on it. This is what you're looking at here is 12 hours of artwork. Now, what I wanted to talk to you about was the paints that were used to make this project were pretty inexpensive. Now, here's some of them. If you notice, if you look back at the package, this color on the speeder bike, that's a little bit more characteristic to what you see in the movie Return of the Jedi. But if you look at my speeder bike, I went with a darker tone, and I call it chocolate brown, but it's actually just brown. No, it's chocolate brown. And these are the Apple Barrel acrylic paints, and this was applied with just a brush. The reason I like these paints is because this paint, if you get the matte version, the plaid version, even if you use a brush, it goes on really smooth, really smooth. So you're not going to be able to see the brush strokes on the surface, and it looks very smooth, very professional. And that's why I use these paints. I really like Apple Barrel acrylic paint. especially the matte colors. The glossy ones don't look as good, and I don't use the glossy apple barrel paints because I notice that the glossy paints, they clump up a lot, and these flat ones, the the matte versions don't clump up. It's just really smooth. So the black and the chocolate brown, that's what I use as a base, and to achieve the metal that you see right here, all around the edges, I used the Sharpie permanent marker silver metallic. Now what I did was I went around all the edges and slowly went and highlighted some of the areas. You have to use you have to use some discernment when you're highlighting the areas. You can't go crazy highlighting everything. If you notice here, not everything is highlighted, just just whatever's raised, and not everything. And if you use it within reason, you can achieve a really, really realistic used look. This is inside the turbine right there. And as you notice, I used it all over. For these scratches right here, that's a permanent marker right there. For all the raised edges, that's a permanent marker right here, permanent marker. Here you can't really notice it, but underneath right there, right on the nose, that's a permanent marker right on all those edges. And it really helps right here on the arm. It really helps to look at a picture. If you have a picture of a speeder bike, see, it'll really help to get those highlights right where they're supposed to be. That way you don't go crazy or willy-nilly just highlighting everything. They have to be in a certain spot to make it look realistic. And I particularly love this handle right here because it actually looks real. It looks like it's metal and the paint was rubbed off. But that's permanent marker, believe it or not. And the same here on the control panel. That's acrylic paint and then permanent marker applied to the edges. Now, what I did was I put permanent marker on first, and after I did all the highlights and everything, I noticed that when you use a permanent marker on acrylic, it tends to stiffen up, and the ink doesn't flow out smoothly. But that's where you take advantage, and you can do stuff like this. So when this stiffens up, or if you have a Q-tip, you can just keep using it and rub the ink of the marker to rub it out. So instead of just looking, because if you get the marker and you just do a straight line, and then you get a Q-tip, and then you rub it like that, it's going to give you this effect. Okay, it's going to give you the effect that the brown paint was rubbed off, and there's a metal underneath the paint, but it's actually marker on top of the paint with a Q-tip or the felt on this marker, rubbing it and just rubbing it. So you'll notice, if you guys want to go ahead and use this trick, you'll notice that when you use this marker on acrylic paint, the tip of the marker it's just gonna stop. The ink is gonna stop flowing, and you could still use it because that's gonna help you achieve that effect, right there. So that's a really neat trick. And the actual the black paint that was used to achieve this smoky burnt effect here, and on the sides right there, and on the bottom. You see, it's kind of like burnt a little bit. I really like this side because you can see the color difference where it goes from chocolate brown to black, and it's a smooth transition. It's not, a solid black and then brown. No, it's brown and then it fades to black. And what I did to achieve that was that I used a different sort of paint. I used Testors enamel paint. Now for these little bottles, it comes like in a little pack, and this is enamel, and you have to mix it with paint thinner. And I bought a kit with all the basic colors: red, white, black, brown, and I used the Master Airbrush Model Kit G2322. I really recommend this kit. If you've never tried airbrushing before, get this kit because everything is included. You get the airbrush, you get the compressor, you get everything you need to start using it right out of the box. I was frustrated for a long time because when I would go look for air compressors or an airbrush, everything is sold separately. So you have the airbrush, you have the air compressors, and then you have all the tubes, and everything is sold separately. So you don't really know, what to get, what goes with what, and how to use it. And the prices on a lot of these airbrushes and the compressors are pretty expensive. This kit right here, this airbrush kit was about $50, and I think it was a good deal because you get everything, and you don't have to be fiddling with mixing and matching parts. So I got this paint kit, enamel paint. I put it inside the airbrush, and I mixed it with thinner, and I turned the airbrush on. And as I'm using the airbrush, it helps to practice on a piece of cardboard first, and then until you know how to use it. And then after I practiced a little bit on the cardboard, I went ahead and started doing the burnt areas. So this is enamel paint on top of acrylic, and this is the airbrushing on top of the chocolate brown and the metallic marker. So I did the chocolate brown, I did the metallic marker scratches, and then on top of all of that I did the black airbrushing, and it looks really authentic. If you do everything in the right order, it actually looks like it's made out of metal. And this is actually the first time I use an airbrush, and it just came out really, really well. So in this here you can see where I put too much black. You can see like a little round dot right there. But it still looks good. And right here, especially in this area where it's black and then it fades to brown, that was all done with an airbrush. And it's really simple. Here you can tell that I used a marker and I just drew a line, but I didn't rub it with the tip or with a Q-tip. So it's just a line. You kind of see the difference between that and that. This looks more natural. But yeah, all of that was achieved with very economical paints. You have these that you can get at Walmart. This is just acrylic paints. These, I've seen some Walmarts that have them, but typically if you go to a hobby store like Hobby Lobby, you'll find these, and you can buy them separately, or you can do what I did. I just bought them in a kit. You get about maybe 10 or a little bit more paints, and it's about $15. And then these, you can get these at any store. Sharpie permanent marker, and yeah. So what you see here, this is what I use to go ahead and do that. And I'm just super excited. I didn't think it was going to come out so well. I thought I was going to have a really hard time achieving those effects, but it just came out really, really awesome, and I'm really psyched at how well it came out. And you can just compare that to the way it used to look. And even though the color is different, I went with a deeper brown, it looks more authentic. So my speeder bike looks more authentic than the one in the picture. So yeah. And even though I'm not completely finished with it yet, I still have the Clone Trooper. So this is a Clone Trooper that you get with the speeder bike. One thing that kind of annoyed me about the Biker Scout is that he cannot bend his knees. So he either sits down in this really awkward position, like that, or if you look at the front of the box, he's standing up, and that kind of looks fine. But if you know the movie Return of the Jedi, they're not standing up, and they're not like that. You know, they're actually sitting on the bike, knees bent. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get the figure, and I'm gonna cut his legs off. I'm going to cut them off, and I'm going to put them back together with epoxy sculpt. They're going to be permanently on there, but they're going to be bent. So that way he can sit on the bike and just look more natural. You know, not like that. You know, not like that, but actually sitting on it. And I haven't put the legs on yet, as you can tell. This one has the legs on there, but yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and just with a Dremel tool, I'm gonna cut it right here. I think I'm gonna cut it right at this line, cut them completely off, and then reattach them with epoxy clay. I'm gonna let the epoxy clay harden. And once it hardens, I'll go ahead and repaint it. I think I'm going to paint the boots a little bit too, because in the movie they're not completely white, they're a little bit dirty. And see how that goes. You know, I thought the speeder bike was going to take a long time, but it didn't. It just, you know, one thing just flowed with another, and that's so rare to happen. And I guess I was just excited to get started on it, and then I just started doing it. But it came out really nice, and I'm really happy with it. And yeah, so this is going to be part 1 of the speeder bike project. As you can see, I'm almost done. If you have any questions on what I used or how I did it, or if I didn't explain something clearly, just go ahead and leave a comment, and I will get back to you pretty fast. But yeah, this is part 1. I'm going to go ahead and do part 2 as soon as I get the Scout Trooper done, and I will show you how it looks. When it's done, this is definitely going to go up on my ceiling, and I'm going to hang it from my ceiling, and it's going to stay there. So thank you so much for checking up on my channel. I will see you guys next time. Bye.